I want to read you an interesting statement from Desire of Ages, pages 31 and 32. And, we speak about the delay of Christ's coming. For God, there is no delay. Because God, do you think God knows what the date for the second coming? Does God know the date for the second coming? Yes. So does he delay it, or does he say, oh, well, they're not ready, let's delay a little bit more? No, God has a date on his calendar. He hasn't revealed that date to us. In a little while, I'm going to explain, what Ellen White means when she says that we must hasten the coming of Christ. Now, notice this statement from Ellen White. The Savior's coming was foretold in Eden. What was the promise that God gave in Eden? About the serpent biting the heel of the seed of the woman, and the seed of the woman crushing the serpent's head. It's a promise about the Messiah. The Savior's coming was foretold in Eden. When Adam and Eve first heard the promise, they looked for its speedy fulfillment. In fact, they joyfully welcomed their firstborn son, hoping that he might be the deliverer. They thought that perhaps Cain was going to be the Messiah. But the fulfillment of the promise tarried. For whom did it tarry? For God? No, for Adam and Eve. She continues. Those who first received it died without the sight. From the days of Enoch, the promise was repeated through patriarchs and prophets, keeping alive the hope of his appearing, and yet he came not. The prophecy of Daniel revealed the time of his advent, but not all rightly interpreted the message. Century after century passed away. The voices of the prophets ceased. The hand of the oppressor was heavy upon Israel, and many were ready to exclaim, the days are prolonged. In other words, the delay, the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth. And now comes the key portion of the statement. But like the stars in the vast circuit of their appointed path, God's purposes know no haste and no delay. So does God say, well, let's delay the second coming a little bit till the people are ready? No. God has a date on his calendar for the second coming. If there's any delay, it's not from his perspective. It's from whose perspective? It is from our perspective. Every event of Christ's life on earth occurred at the precise moment that the Father had on his calendar, because he had foreseen it in the ages of eternity past. And yet here is the key point. While Jesus was on earth, he did not have access to the total plan. When Jesus was on earth, yes, the Father in heaven still had the total plan before him because he lives in an eternal present. But Jesus, in his humanity, only had the plan for the day in which he was living. And the Father every day revealed the plan for that specific day. So the Father in heaven had the total plan before him in its details. But Jesus, as he walked on earth, did not have access to the total plan. Because if Jesus had had the access to the whole total plan, then his test would have been, he would have said, I know I'm going to go to Gethsemane. I know that I'm going to gain the victory over Satan, and I know I'm going to resurrect, if he'd had the total plan before him. But if he only saw each day the plan, we can understand why in Gethsemane, for example, he cried out to his Father, and basically Ellen White says he could not see beyond the portals of the tomb. If he had access to the total plan, he would have seen clearly that he was going to come forth victoriously from the tomb. Are you with me or not?